Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the South African Chamber interview series. This is the third one that we're conducting. South African Chamber been in existence since September 2019. And part of our program during these difficult times and using digital and webinars is to promote our members and give them some exposure, together with giving the Chamber some exposure, and using this interview series as a platform to do that. So we're very excited today to have Fiona Raissig from African Marketplace, who's going to be joining us. Fiona and I know each other for some time now. I've been in Singapore for 3 years, and she was one of my first business meetings that I had coming to Singapore here. I was looking at working in the FMCG space, and it was great to meet Fiona at those times. So without giving too much away, I'd like to just give a brief overview of Fiona. She founded the German marketplace and is the current owner of the African Marketplace, which is among South Africans is very well known. African Marketplace is one of our first members that joined the South African Chamber, and Fiona has been very supportive of the Chamber and the African Society, which is another association here in Singapore. So we're going to conduct an interview. I'll run through some questions with Fiona, and we'll keep the conversation going from there. So look forward to that. So Fiona, a formal welcome, and thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day. I know that you're normally stocking the shelves at this point of the day. So thank you for taking the time out and spending your time with us as we conduct this interview for our members.
Pleasure.
So yeah, maybe to start off with, just if you can give us a little bit of a background on yourself, maybe touch on your connection back to South Africa or Africa, and then we can go from there.
I was born in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe now, and Dad was English, Mum was South African, sort of where the South African connection comes in. And then I did my senior schooling at St. Anne's in Hilton outside of Pietermaritzburg, and I went to Cape Town University. And Mum was living in South Africa until 2015. And I have family back there, a large family back there. And it's somewhere that I usually go to 3 to 4 times a year. So that's my connection.
Okay, so still most of your family's back in South Africa.
Yeah. Dad's family, he was sort of an only sibling. And so my English grandparents came out to South Africa. So we all ended up down there. And the rest of the family, all the aunts, uncles, everybody's still there. No one's, other than my sister, Jennifer, she lives in London. Otherwise, everyone's in SA.
Okay. And coming out of the Hilton region, does that mean you're a Sharks rugby supporter?
Absolutely. If I have to support Sharks, is it? Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, they're doing pretty good at the moment. So, although we haven't had much rugby now, but, a lot of Springbok rugby players come from Natal. So
yeah.
Maybe just a little bit more about some of your passions and hobbies. What are your interests?
I love reading. I love traveling. I'm very interested in history. It's a huge hobby of mine. Anything historical I enjoy. I'm getting better at cooking. I found that having time at home, I've sort of improved my cooking skills. And I love traveling to the bush. I love game parks. That's possibly where I'm happiest. I find that it's a great leveler, and sort of it balances out everything when you're in the bush. So that's what I really enjoy doing and traveling.
Yeah, I must say, as a fellow South African, I mean, there's just nothing better than the African bush and the smell of the bush. And we go up to Bukatima here in not far from where we live, and often we get the smells of the bush coming through, and there's a definite reminder of Africa and the fresh bush. So yeah, definitely.
I don't know if if you sometimes hear the grey doves, you know, the dove calling.
Yes.
Sometimes you can hear it here in Singapore, and it just instantly transports me back.
Yeah, nothing better, nothing better. Yeah. So what got you to Singapore? How did you end up, leaving the beauty of Africa, come to the tropics in Singapore?
I married a Swiss German, and he worked for a German machine tool company. And literally the day after we were married, we were sent to Hong Kong. And then in 1997, with Hong Kong being handed back to the Chinese, the company was a little bit apprehensive, and my husband had a huge area, Korea in the north, Australasia in the south, India in the west, and the American coast in the east. So Singapore was really the most centrally situated from a flight schedule, of communications level, and that. So we came here what was meant to be for 2 years, and then 2 became 4, and then 4 became 8. And then it just carried on, and I've been here now for 32 years.
32 years, wow. Okay. So you more Asian than African.
This is where I've lived the longest. I mean, of all the places, I've lived here the longest. And I have to say, in the beginning, it was very different, but I enjoyed it because it was something new. The only sad reality of it is that, you know, you make a lot of friends and they leave after 2 years or 3 years kind of thing. And if you stay on here longer. But I've been incredibly fortunate. When Mark went to nursery school, I met 3 girls. Their children were the same age as Mark. And they're all still here. And we've been here together for 32 years. So that's been great.
That's unusual to have, you know, just 3 friends for such a long period in Singapore, which is that, you know, people move through you, and you don't often get an opportunity to make good friends. So
no,
that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. So then, you know, moving on to, you know, let's maybe start off with the German marketplace. So I obviously there's a connection here with your husband being Swiss German. So maybe just give us a little bit of a backstory about German marketplace and how you came across that, and then we can maybe lead into African marketplace, which is what's
I mean, in 1999, Mark was now my son. He had started school in England, so I found that I had time on my hands, and I had a German friend who every Christmas would go home and come back with 300 kilos of bread mixes and cleaning products and everything. And I said to her, you can't possibly be the only German who's doing that. So that was how GMP started, was to actually just bring in things that people wanted, especially Germans. And the whole concept behind it was that all of us are away from home, and we all miss things that we grew up with or that we are familiar with. So we started off with German products, and then I realized that there was a need for Dutch. So we bought the Dutch in, and then Scandinavian. And in 2000 and I think it was 12, there was a Springbok Bazaar, which was operating on the East Coast. It was started by a man called Paul Smith, who had some connections to, I think he was South African, and he was married to a local lady. And I heard that the business was up for sale, and I wanted to buy it, but the Fishers got in before me. And then 7 months after the Fishers took it, in 2014, I bought it over from them. And it was partly self-indulgence. I missed things like peppermint crisps and zoo biscuits, which was thing. And I just thought, well, if I have a shop, I can bring it in. Yeah. But realizing that that wasn't going to cover the costs, I looked at the wine, because I noticed also that most of the wine shops here had very, very few, sort of very little of South African wine. The selection was really very basic, KWV and Robert's Rock and something else. Yeah. So that's why I started that.
Okay. So German marketplace is still a business, and it's operating. You're in Bukatima, right?
Yeah, we're in a shop house in Bukatima Road, next door to the Coronation Plaza.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
African Marketplace was a business, so it was Springbok Bazaar, and you then renamed it to African Marketplace to align it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think are you based in? You've changed locations, so you're in the Holland Club now, right?
No, well, what happened was we moved out of Bukatima Plaza because there was a lot of talk of going en bloc. Bukatima Plaza is one of the oldest sort of shopping centers. In fact, I think it was the first in Singapore, the big high-rise. But it goes together with a block of flats. And most of the shops there have only got like 25 years left on their 99-year lease. And so they all wanted to sell it en bloc. And it was quite a sort of unsettling time. We didn't know whether it was or it wasn't. So we gave that up and we moved to the Dutch Club because there was a bigger premises, more parking. And I had a little outlet at the Dutch Club called Delicious, which was mainly for the Dutch products. And that was doing really, really well. And also being in a club environment, and we were opening over the weekends. But unfortunately, then when COVID came and the clubs were all going to be shut down, so we decided within 24 hours to get out of that. Okay. And now AMP is purely an online portal. And hopefully when this COVID goes past, we will then maybe look for another physical outlet. But at the moment, it's operating out of the warehouse.
Yeah, so I mean, I must say, two things. I think, firstly, African Marketplace for me has been a great place. Often buying products from you and your gins and your wines and your rusks. And I think for any South African and even African, because I know a lot of our products are across the continent, it does make a connection back to home. And even us as a South African Chamber have been thinking about, when new families come through from South Africa, to almost have a welcome for them and use your store as a place where we could meet them and greet them and kind of welcome them to Singapore and then surround them with peppermint crisps and knickknacks.
Yeah. Well, I'd be very happy. I'd be happy to do that. I mean, it is something that I used to do for the German Association too, newcomers meetings, and we used to provide goodie bags and things like that. So definitely I'm interested, no problem.
Great. Let's definitely look at that. And then maybe just then to go into COVID situation now, obviously it's a difficult time and things have changed. And I suppose there's been, having an online platform in a business, in a retail business is proven to be extremely valuable. And if you didn't have an online platform before COVID, you were playing catch up to try and get there. Now, I've never been to your store. I've done all my shopping on your online platform, and it's worked brilliantly. But maybe just give some insights in terms of maybe what you would have done any different, or do you think that your online platform was well set up? Do you think, is there any advice you could give anyone, or use your hindsight in terms of what you've been through with this COVID situation and what you could have done better, and maybe the listeners can use that as tips for going forward if they're looking at starting an online platform in Singapore?
Yeah, I think I think online is definitely the way to go, and we've noticed that our online portal has risen exponentially orders wise. But I think the most important thing is to make sure that you've got a platform which is user friendly and which also displays the goods and have an individual photograph. And I have to tell you that for that, I am eternally grateful that Nikki Hayes walked into my office one day and said to me, "You've got a very eclectic mix of South African wines, and I was just wondering who did the ordering." And I said to her, "Well, I did, and I don't drink, so that's probably why it's a mixture." Anyway, she's come in. She is amazingly professional. She is very, very smart at online platforms, and she handles all of our Facebook, our social media, but she also designed the Facebook, the online portal, and she's constantly tweaking and updating it and getting us our latest things. So it's very streamlined. It's very easy to operate, and I think it's a very easy platform to navigate as well when you're shopping. I don't think it's particularly difficult, or it doesn't bomb out sort of thing, which for me, if I get onto a platform and it crashes, I don't use it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Nikki has been instrumental in that. And I think that it's also, besides being able to get everybody's orders out quickly and that sort of thing, that has been one of the challenges as well, because, you know, you can maybe deliver 8 orders a day sort of around Singapore. And so you've got to outsource sometimes delivery and that. But it's one of the things that the government has been great during this COVID situation. They've given us grants and helped us with that. And as long as you've got somebody that you can trust enormously that they're not going to drop the milk tart or they're going to drop the bottles of wine, it's a very easy way to operate a business.
Okay, so actually the government is even quite supportive, and generally only your delivery have been the biggest challenges that you've experienced.
Yeah, delivery's been the big, obviously also if you're looking at AMP, our supply was hugely compromised with South Africa going into such a severe lockdown and all the manufacturing companies having to halt as well. It didn't help that alcohol and wine were not allowed to be exported in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when they did open that for exports, we already had a huge shipment waiting at the harbor for almost 5 weeks until they were allowed to export it. But with every shipment you get, you have to have a lot of documentation from the Ministry of Agriculture. And that in itself was, again, another challenge, because everybody was working from home and you couldn't find somebody to sign off on the documentation. Transportation is also a bit of a problem now in COVID. Not a lot of regular flights from South Africa to Singapore. They have started now freighter flights, which I think fly twice a week, which has been very helpful with our air freight shipments. But we're finding even with sea freight, not many vessels are available. And then Cape Town and Durban were very, very congested. So the ships just bypassed them. And we had one shipment that just got stuck there because we couldn't find a vessel to get on. So those are a few of the problems with COVID that we've had at the moment.
And has the transport prices gone up?
Hugely.
Okay. So are you having to pass that on to the consumer, or?
No, well, we've taken the decision that we will absorb as much as possible. And there obviously, especially with the wine, you know, you get the price of wine, then you've got a certain $7 on the wine bottle straight away, then there's the duties, and then there's the GST. And I prefer to clear my whole shipment instead of putting them into the customs bonded warehouse at Zenacon and then pull them out. The reason I prefer to do that is that A, I know what my costs are when I've got the shipment, and B, you can't always access the customs bonded warehouse. So if I had a online order from you and you wanted X amount of bottles and I didn't have them at the warehouse, I would have to say to you, I'm sorry, I've got to wait until I can get it out. So we choose to clear the shipment straight away. And shipping costs as such, if you're taking them by vessel, they have risen, but not dramatically. It's the air freight costs that have risen dramatically.
Okay.
And
which is understandable.
Again, because you're limited with the number of flights, you have no choice. You've got to take what you can.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think just generally the wine industry in South Africa, you know, there's been a lot of calls because obviously now there's the ban on alcohol, so there's not many sales going on. So there's a lot of social media coverage about, you know, expats, those living abroad, to please support the South African wine industry. So I think these are it's a fantastic industry. We so competitive when it comes to price with our wines. Our taste and our, is definitely up there. And just hopefully more and more people can start to buy the wines through your platforms like yourself and support the wine industry. I'm certainly doing that, and I know you've got an order coming through tomorrow, so I'll be online supporting. But just maybe then onto the competitiveness of our products. And obviously there's maybe a bias because we're South African, but maybe just touch on that a little bit in terms of not only wines, but other products that you see competing against. We've got Australia and New Zealand that's close by. We've obviously got Southeast Asia. So how does South Africa stack up? And how would you compare our quality and price to what you've seen in the broader region, or even in Europe?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest headaches with the South African products is that if, for argument's sake, I'm ordering from Germany, I can place an order on the Monday, and by the following Wednesday, I have it in my shop.
Okay.
South Africa, they take a long time to collate the orders. The wine industry is different. They are very used to exporting and that. But they would even they still take 2 to 3 weeks to get their act together. I think the quality of the wine, it can hold its own against everything. And I think also equally, products like you said, the biscuits and the chocolates and that, I think they are equally as good as anywhere that you will find. What I face here is a lack of knowledge of them. Local people don't know them. And you can say to them, try it out, and they'll say, oh gosh, that is nice, And slowly but surely, we are working our way through the products where people are beginning to know them, and they will ask for them. But it is still very much based on South Africans or other African nations who know the products, because South Africa exports all the way throughout Africa. One of my other headaches is that if you ordered a whole pallet of, say, Baker's tennis biscuits, then you can get a longer shelf life on them. But if you order sufficient that you want to keep the volume turning over, but you don't want to have too much of a stock based in the warehouse, then you don't get what they call the export validity date. You get the local, because the majority of the South African suppliers, they work supplying the local market, obviously, and their sort of principle is shorter shelf life, so quantity. They want to sell as much as possible on the shelf, on the local market. And that causes a few problems sometimes, because things, especially like my rusks and that, you don't always get as long a shelf life as you would like. So we try to keep the supply as consistent as possible and avoid having too many expired items.
Yeah, it's a huge cost for you if you have to throw away product.
Yeah.
But I think back onto the awareness, and I'm just conscious of time. I think we must maybe start wrapping up, but just quickly on the awareness side. And I think this is where the South African Chamber of Commerce, together with the High Commissioner here, I know, the High Commissioner is very passionate about the Chamber, and I think, platforms like the South African Chamber can help create a better awareness about our products and what we can offer, whether it's FMCG, whether it's tourism, whether it's commodity, agriculture, whatever the case is. And I think this is what we're trying to achieve from a South African Chamber perspective, create more awareness. We know budgets are limited, and there's no huge cash coming in from the DTI, for obvious reasons. So it's about chambers like this that hopefully we can create more awareness about South Africa and its products and its services. So, you know, we will continue to do that, and you know, hopefully we can help you, the likes of yourselves, to create that awareness and showcase your business and the products.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think coming to the end of the 30 minutes, I think we're just a little bit over, or getting close to 30 minutes. But I just, you know, thank you very much for your time and for sharing your background, your knowledge, your expertise. And I'm sure members listening or anyone listening to this, if they want to get any tips or advice, you know, I'm sure they through us, through the chamber, we you know, we can join the dots, and maybe you can help. Maybe you can pick up some new supplies from this interview. So,
And there've been quite a number of South African manufacturers who come to Singapore and, you know, hoping to get their products and asking me to sell them and that, and all of them terribly interesting, but again sometimes very specialized, like health bars. You know, it's not a product that I would have a huge outreach to, because I'm limited sort of at the moment to online, but also I'm more of a general grocery store rather than a specialized sports nutrition store and that. And I think that there is huge potential. I think that there are some wonderful products from South Africa, but we just have to try and get the awareness here, and not necessarily just to the South Africans, to get it out to everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's the opportunity. I mean, we're a small community here relative, so you know, the big opportunity is actually with the Singaporeans and the other bigger group. So hopefully we can reach out to them, and this is what the chamber we're going to do. We're going to collaborate with other chambers to try and create some more awareness about what we can offer. It's not only about Springbok rugby and being world champions. You know, it's also about what we can offer from an FMCG perspective. So
yeah.
Maybe just any final words to our members. I'll leave it to you, just to maybe, if you want to share anything about maybe you got something exciting you're going to be releasing, or any advice or tips you want to share with listeners.
Well, I think you know, obviously here in Singapore you can get products from every nationality. I mean, and we've got those very big cold storage NTUC and that thing. And one of the facts that I know 100% that I can make a difference is customer service. So I'm more than happy when someone phones in and says, I really need this perfume and you can only buy it in South Africa, or I really want this and I can only get it there. If I'm able to, I will bring it in for you. And I can't promise that I'll bring it in regularly, but I can make an individual request. And it's customer service that really is going to set us apart from all the rest. And I find that generally South Africans are such a happy bunch of people, and they really are terribly positive in everything that they do. So for us, it's a huge pleasure. I mean, we're there and we're ready to help you with anything that you want to come in from SA. If we can bring it in, we will.
Okay, great. Well, that's good to know. And, you know, I think thank you for being one of our members, one of our founding members. You came on board right in the beginning, and you didn't hesitate in terms of signing up with the South African Chamber. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your contribution, and you know, look forward to seeing you soon. I know
Absolutely.
there's a few events coming up soon, and hopefully we can collaborate on those. So
lovely.
thanks so much, Fiona.
Thank you, Jason. Take care.
Thank you.